Our own very Emmanuel Macron was humiliated by his wife today.
A dramatic video showing French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife, Brigitte Macron, as they disembarked a plane in Hanoi, Vietnam, has gone viral and sparked widespread commentary. The footage, captured as the plane door opened, appears to show Brigitte Macron placing both hands on her husband's face and pushing him away. Macron is seen momentarily recoiling before smiling and waving to the cameras. The incident quickly made headlines in France, with media outlets attempting to decipher the interaction. Le Parisien, for example, ran a headline asking, "Slap or squabble?" President Macron has since dismissed the gesture as horseplay and joking with his wife, stating that the incident is being overblown and exaggerated into a sort of geoplanetary catastrophe. His office offered a similar explanation, describing it as a moment where the president and his wife were decompressing one last time before the start of the trip by horsing around. It's a moment of complicity. Despite Macron's explanation, the video has continued to circulate widely online, particularly on accounts hostile to the French president. The Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, Maria Zakharova, even mocked the video on Telegram, suggesting Macron received a right hook from his wife. In subsequent images after the initial interaction, Macron and his wife appeared at the top of the plane stairs. He offered his arm, but she did not take it, and they walked down the stairs side by side. Macron has also used the incident to highlight the dangers of misinformation in the social media era, stating that other videos of him have been misinterpreted, such as supposedly showing him sharing cocaine or confronting the Turkish president. He emphasized that none of these are true and urged everyone to calm down.
A whole president of a country was humiliated today. Not just any country. France. Our own very Emmanuel Macron was humiliated by his wife today. Just less than 2 weeks after Erdogan, the president of Turkey, put Emmanuel Macron in his space. Erdogan basically showed Emmanuel Macron who the boss is. More like, Macron, don't forget, I have the second largest army in NATO. So next time you sit down with your little friends talking about me, show some respect. Not respect, show some respect when you mention my name. That was what Erdogan basically tried to point out to Emmanuel Macron. But that was in the past. But today, the 26th of May 2025, just as they landed in Vietnam for a visit, I don't know what the visit is about, but they landed in Vietnam, and the plane door opened just at the wrong time. Emmanuel Macron was having a confrontation with his wife, and literally as the door opened, we saw the wife smacked Macron across the face. Well, if you want to call it smacked, some people called it slapped, but when the camera was zoomed in, we saw the wife literally with two hands yank his face. And the reaction of the man and the woman that came to welcome them from the top of the plane, their reaction was priceless. They quickly turned around and like, shit, we don't want to be part of this, and started walking downward. Instead of waiting to welcome them, they just walked off because it was a big deal. After it happened, Macron tried to play the cool after, perhaps must have had a chat with the wife. As they were coming down the stairs on the plane, he reached his hand out for the wife to hold, and the wife looked at him like, fuck, started walking. She did not hold his hand, she didn't touch him, she just walked down. What a disgrace, what a disgrace. And this is the man everybody is, I mean, the man that cannot even handle it, that cannot even control his own home, is the person everybody is hoping to solve the problem in Ukraine. Now you understand why the situation in Ukraine will never end if Europe continues to interfere. I'm not trying to talk Emmanuel Macron down. I'm not trying to be clever here, but in reality, you've seen it. This is the video, you're looking at it, you're watching it. This man doesn't have control of his own home. And you want him to go and control a country that is at war. What do you guys think? Let me know. At the end of the day, we know every one of us, we have our own private lives. Most of the celebrities you see out there, most of the politicians that come out to be like, you know, they've got balls. But trust me, behind closed doors, they wear their wives' knickers and skirt. That is a fact. How you interpret that? Now you know.
The trending video of Emmanuel Macron being hit by his wife Brigitte Macron in Vietnam. You won't believe this. So there is this video of Emmanuel Macron maybe arguing with his wife. They were in the plane, they were in the heat of argument before the door opened and everyone started taking the videos. And that is when we witnessed the hand of Brigitte Macron landing on the face of Emmanuel Macron very hard. I am sure he felt that one. They had no idea that the door is going to open at that time. So when the door opened, journalists were there with the cameras taking the videos, and that is when we witnessed. So Emmanuel Macron was so embarrassed and so ashamed. He had no idea what to do. So they just walked out of the plane pretending, smiling that everything is fine, thinking that nobody has seen what Brigitte Macron just did to Emmanuel Macron. But everybody saw everything. Well, some people that just saying that maybe the wife was just wiping the powder thing on the nose so that everybody will not notice or anything like that. But the hand was so hard. It just came landing on the face, and Emmanuel, it was painful. I can tell that it was very painful.
Breaking news from France. This will shock you. The president of France, Emmanuel Macron, was slapped at the broad daylight with the wife Brigitte Macron during their visit to Vietnam. You won't believe that Emmanuel Macron tried to fake the smile, tried to fake everything out of the embarrassment, but the media had already captured everything and it had already been aired out. This is actually not AI. If you want to see this yourself, go at the search bar, search Emmanuel Macron at Vietnam. You will see the photos. Imagine, this is one of the leaders from the West who used to say that he owns more than 20 countries in Africa. Almost 20 countries in Africa belongs to him. This is one of the leaders who used to exploit resources from Africa at cheaper prices or at free without paying any amount, being slapped with a wife during their most respectful visit to Vietnam. You won't believe it. And my question is, what usually happens during the closed doors? If this one can happen during the broad daylight, where they actually know anytime, anywhere, the journalists are everywhere waiting for them and they can be captured anytime. Anyway, drop your comment at the comment section and actually tell us anything about the video you've seen.
If I tell you that Africans are giving millions of US dollars to European Union alone or to Europe alone, you will be surprised, but that is the sad reality. And thanks to the African presidents, by the way, who are also part of this deal, and they are not talking about it. Not only that, they are not making laws that are going to protect their citizens. So in 2024 alone, it is said that, African countries lost 67.5 million US dollars simply to denied Schengen visa applications, which means that if you are an African, you want to travel to Europe, whether for vacations or for any other reason, you will have to go and apply for a visa. And through this visa application process, they will charge you for an amount of money. They decide how much they are going to charge you. You have no control over that as an African. But so once you go there, even you have all the requirements that they need for you to get your visa, they can still go ahead and deny you. So through those denials, or the people who were rejected, they have already paid money for the visa applications process and other fees. That total amount of money in 2024 was 67.5 million US dollars. That is an insane amount of money. And remember, if the Europeans are going to Africa, they do not apply for these visas. Basically, they got everything for free. So why are the African leaders are not talking about it? This is also one of the reasons that we should support leaders like our leaders in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. So recently, the president of Zambia also talked about these things. He says that, they should pay back the money. For instance, let's say a Zambian citizen went to apply for a visa and they rejected his visa for no reason. Then they should be able to get their money back. And this thing is something true. I have been talking about this for years. Even you have all the money, all the requirements, they can still go ahead and deny your visa, but they will take your money. So which means that every year, African countries are giving billions to Europe alone. Remember, this was Europe alone in 2024, 67.5 million US dollars Just like that, while we have poverty in Africa, and if you should count the United States and other countries, it will go to like billions every year. But let me know in the comments, what do you guys think should the African leaders do to stop this robbery? Because this right here is a robbery, but at the end of the day also, I will have to blame the African leaders themselves, because if they are just to their people, to our people, they stop being corrupt, Africans do not need to travel outside to go and get a better life. Sadly, because of the poor governance and corruption, bad leaderships, then every youth in Africa, or most of the youths, want to go out. Only few want to stay there. Those whose parents most likely are stealing, or those who are fortunate enough, to get a better life somehow. But let me know in the comments, what do you think should the African leaders do in order to stop these things? Because this is a massive loss to the African people and to the continent as a whole. $67.5 million just like that. Let me know in the comments, what should the leaders do?
Couple présidentiel sur un bateau, et derrière Brigitte dans son plus beau maillot, en regardant de plus près, on peut voir que elle a son téléphone dans son maillot, sûrement pour ne pas le perdre. Le saviez-vous? La mère d'Emmanuel Macron fut médecin conseil à la sécurité sociale, en charge du suivi des personnes transgenres. Candace Owens subit énormément de pression en ce moment. En attendant, Emmanuel Macron attend tranquillement devant son ordinateur la fameuse vidéo qui fait tant parler. Candace Owens aurait reçu les informations de Xavier Possard sur cette photo. On peut voir Brigitte Trogneux sur les genoux de sa mère et de l'autre côté son frère. Candace Owens a subi énormément de pression de la part du couple présidentiel en France. Elle aurait été attaquée pour harcèlement ou diffamation, mais aux États-Unis, la liberté d'expression est vraiment une liberté marquée dans la Constitution. Xavier, lui, il aurait envoyé les photos de Brigitte étant jeune. En combinant la photo et l'intelligence artificielle, on peut voir le visage qu'elle aurait maintenant. Ce qui n'est pas le cas actuellement, elle a plus de ressemblance avec son frère Jean-Michel Trogneux. Tu trouves qu'il y a une ressemblance, toi?
There's something I've been thinking about, and maybe you've felt it too. What if we stopped copying Western systems and brought back African leadership in its truest form? Not politicians, not parties, but councils of elders chosen for their wisdom, not their wealth. Elders who live among the people, who listen more than they speak. Not elected to serve their ego, but chosen to protect the soul of the community. Imagine if every elder had youth beside them, not just for show, but to learn, to be mentored, to be trusted. So leadership doesn't die with age, but it gets passed on, fully rooted. Instead of shouting matches in Parliament, decisions would be made in a circle, in dialogue, in deep listening. Land and justice wouldn't be sold to the highest bidder. They'd be sacred. We wouldn't have courts that punish, have councils that restore. No manifestos, just values. No party colours, just people. Leadership wouldn't be about power, it would be about presence. Pause for a moment. I know I'm going off on a tangent. Away everything you've been told about how the world works. If change starts not with force, with imagination, the daring to believe we could build something wiser, fairer, familiar. This isn't just a fantasy, it's who we were as Africans, it's who we could be again. Think that we're ready to return to that kind of leadership, or has modern life taken us too far? Tell me what you think. This is the Africa you're not shown, but I'm here to show you.